You're watching Network Radio. Live from the Media Broadcasting Center.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Walking the Talk. We have a rather special show tonight, and as of right now, Kira Campbell has still not connected or called in. I know I talked with her earlier on this morning, and she's been on the road with her projects and meetings and so forth all yesterday and today. So I'm hoping she's just delayed a little bit. But I've got messages out all over the place, and we'll see if we're able to get a hold of her. And she's just running a little bit behind, and I'm sure she's going frank it too. So what can we do? But I don't like starting the show late, so you get to put up with just me for right now. And in the meantime, I've got the Skype calls out and the Facebook messages and the group chats and all the rest of it. So we'll just have to see if she does connect. And at the very worst, we can also give her a shout on Skype as well if she can't get to the meetup room. And we'll see where it goes. Well, for me, I think a lot of people already tuned in have been following the last week between the Skype room and Lisa and Brian's shows, which Kira's already done 2 or 3 of them with announcing this. So I think everybody's a little bit excited and sees an awful lot of promise in this. I know I'm one for sure that at the get-go, right now everything looks like this can really be an amazing tool to use and be a great start to a bridge between what we have right now and where we need to go. And of course, I've always been looking and trying to do these bridges. So when I saw these, of course, I investigated it, and it's going to take a little bit of time and patience, I think, as well. I think we've all, on this little amazing journey of ours, have experienced our ups and downs and our disappointments and our pluses, but I don't think it sways any of us either. I think hope is still very much needed to keep us moving forward and the rest of it. I was hoping to have Kira on right away and more do a foundational talk on who and what she is and how this started and what the infrastructure of it is and get that more nailed down, and then more of the structuring of the actual exchange as well. So if she doesn't happen to be able to contact us in the next little bit, I'll give you guys the code to call in for the free toll-free line, and then we'll open it up to some discussion between ourselves and see what our promises and what our intentions are going to be with this. Also, what's your questions? And where do we go to make sure that we're kind of not just following into the old traps, but we're not also being so skeptical that we don't move forward and we don't give things its proper chance and its due course as well. And I think that's a real fine line and a balance to things. So I'm just going to run over and check the Skype again, and I still do not have anything back from her or with inside of the Credit Exchange Group. So we'll give it another few minutes and see where that goes from there. one of the things that I started doing as well, and one thing that I do see as a very strong positive of this isn't anything that's really um, foreign to most of us. I think we've all tried before this kind of final bridge, at least the way I'm seeing it, is we've all seen the alternative currencies. We're seeing more of the local community currencies come up. The difference in communities trying to come up with a difference of a value of exchange between each other, whether it's in a form of a time bank, a time exchange, whether it's the direct barter between each other, whether it's an association barter where you're getting some form of a credit on one deal, but somewhere else you're getting another one. Um, I think there's something like close to over 250 across Canada now that are forming all of these in one form or another. Of course, there's the LET system um, that I believe Tom Kennedy started that off out of Ottawa, and it's being progressively building very strongly. So we do have a model to go by, and we also have somewhat of models to compare this to. Um, but what I'm seeing from my perspective, anyway, right off of the bat, is where the credit exchange and where it's quite possible that the breakthrough is being able to start off with accrediting with inside of it, which is our value, and then that real final bridge connection in there in all of these systems that would allow these businesses and bigger organizations to be actually able to interact with the banking system in exchange between the credits and into their local currencies that they would have to use to pay other things. And that, of course, is the number one obstacle to almost everything that you try to do. And the second one, of course, is being able to get enough participants in it in order to make it sustainable. Uh, I know that through the chat group that we have going on in Skype, and thanks to Sheila for putting that together, and everybody who's starting to participate and add people, and I'm seeing the energy in there going up and down, and much higher on the up, but some good, honest reservations as well, and I think they're much deserved at this point. Um, but I see too that nobody's discounting it or not at least staying aware of what's going on. So I think that's a real hats off to everybody that hasn't gotten discouraged. So if it does bring this off, the second part of it is, of course, we all know that we can change this system in a light switch if we would just have everybody that would just go, okay, we're just going to use this now and we're not going to use the money anymore. The system would be over. Um, I mean, that'd be a wake up dream scenario. And thank you very much. Uh, but for any system to start to take track, whether it's these time banks or local currency or a barter exchange, it takes the people to participate in it. And this is one of the core things that really got my interest with the credit exchange is seeing the principle that nothing is of any value at all until the people put their value behind it. And that's going to be totally true with no matter what we try to do in any of the fields, whether it's the health, whether it's the monetary, whether it's law or structuring. We're only going to have so much effect until the people put their energy behind it. I also think the system knows that. I think that's one of the reasons there's certain things and certain different disinformation out there that does give you a little bit of debate, and people get so far behind it and so forth and so on, and then it's a crash. So I do believe in a little bit of due diligence here and a little bit of awareness. And if anything, I'll refer to it as in we're maturing along this journey. And uh, have we made mistakes before? Have I made mistakes before? And am I going to make mistakes in the future? Absolutely. Um, will they be less than they were the last time? Absolutely. So I think that's the most important thing that we can do is just be aware of our maturity and grow with it, and don't be afraid to keep on moving forward with things. I still don't see anything from Kira on the three connections that I have for her. So I really don't know what to say to you. I'm sorry that she's gotten detained or whatever, and I'm sure that I'll get a message and we'll get it out to see what actually happened, and we'll go from there. I'll open up the lines if anybody wants to call in and discuss any of their points of views for this. Um, we have the toll free, of course, 866 806 6264, which is at the bottom of the screen there. And the code tonight for this room is 148 089 8666. So just call the toll free. Give it a chance to ring a couple times. I've got to forward you over, and then you'll come into the room and you'll get on there in line in your queue. So again, that's 866-806-6264, and the code is 148-089-8666. So if you wanted to call in, I'll get you up, and I'd love you to share what you feel of this so far. And if you're totally new to any of it, please call in and ask your question. I know I've been looking through the site as well, and I've noticed in the last few days and still up today and to right now, I'm clicking through a bit of it, and I'm pretty well still getting, if I click on, for instance, benefits here, you get the general page, but if I click on distributors, I get the sign up. If I click on the frequently add, I get the sign up. Um, so I do believe that through the first show, and I know I had a list of questions for Kira as well, that um, there was quite a bit of the information up there that seemed to be conflicting from what she was saying. So let's switch that over. Uh, with that, I did hear her say when a couple of those points came up when she was on with Lisa and Brian last week, that the site was basically a plug-in from another existing site. So I don't think a lot of the information had been updated yet, and therefore I think there was some of the old template um, infrastructure and so forth on it. So it seems like right now that she's the site people have just gone to the contact page until they can update all of those pages and go from there. So I think that's pretty much the I would say is the go with the site right now, but we'll have to see and go from there. Uh, again, if anybody wants to call in and give their kind of opinion of what they've discovered before and are to this point, we're 866-806-6264, and the code is 148-089-8666. And I'm just going to check through the Skype here again and see if we can see anything from her or any kind of messaging. And we got Kim there. She's still not there. And Sheila's just mentioning in the Skype group that she can't catch the phone number to call. It's 1-866-806-6264. And I'm just going to, pardon my typing here, folks, but as most will know, we're giving Chance a bit of a break here, and I've picked up on actually producing the show myself as we go. So it's been a new endeavor for me and kind of cool, and it's been a learning curve. But it does kind of give me the look up and down and so forth, and trying a few new things, and away we go. So, but this does give us a split in the time, and it will allow us to build the network a lot more and so forth, and be able to offer a lot more to the people. So we're really enjoying it, and I'm kind of having fun doing it. So it's one of the endeavors that I really decided to cut out some of my passion. If anybody had been looking at the previous shows, that I decided to really focus down onto here and really start using the media center as a tool, just like everything else, in order to kind of move agendas forward. And I think that's the key component that I'm looking for now, is those absolute tools to at least start stepping across a bridge and being able to better ourselves and our circumstances every day. So that's how I did see, and I do see, the credit exchange as being the same thing. So I'm actually just going to see if I can give Kira a call here. I'm just going to close off the remote and see if just by chance something's going on and I can't quite get her, or she can't get into me, and we'll just see. But it doesn't seem like it's even ringing, so she's not quite connected, I don't believe. So unfortunately, we're just going to have to do this ourselves, and we're going to have to try to reschedule with Kira and see what transpired. Hopefully, we'll get an answer back, and nothing has actually happened too drastic or anything. So we do have for the people that are on that are also in the discussion group, please feel free to put your comments or questions in there as well. I've got that up on the other screen, so I'll be able to see that. Now, with as the end of it, as I was saying, for myself, I've already reached out to a number of different people and so forth, and they're pretty much at the same spacing that I am. It's a matter of having a little bit of due diligence here with past experiences with things. We want to see some kind of performance of some of the thing coming up instead of just jumping too crazy above it. But I do believe in trying to hedge the things as well. So I've started putting infrastructure into place with an executive board and a board of directors to be able to make a proposal together for the credit exchange. And if all of this information pans out and the model for New Zealand, which I'm fairly confident at this point that it will come to fruition with the information, will be in place to be able to implement those things and move fully forward with it. So that's what I've been working on through the week. I think Sheila did a great job with the Skype group and getting people to connect through there and start to kick around some ideas. I think that's important for us too. And again, it's going to take the people's energy to do it. It's not going to happen on its own, and it's not just going to be like a normal corporation where they get to throw $1 million worth of advertising and everything else at it in order to get the name known out there. It's going to be us. I was in quite a bit of a discussion with a friend of mine on one of my pages, so I know he just want to forward this so we can get somebody else on here. Sorry for their interrupt while I do the two things at the same time. And we'll see if we can get them through as soon as they come up. So we got into quite a discussion about things because it was a matter of it was a matter of them not really even understanding yet about the fiat currencies and the banking system, and he didn't know the difference between um, being into the debt and the credit. So going into that avenue, um, it does remind us that we have to kind of step back a little bit and realize how much further ahead we are than so many people on things. And I think it's going to take some patience here. And I really like the idea of some of the people in the Skype group mentioning to have an overall flyer and to break down some things really simple and take it slow to bring some of the other people on board with this and to have some understanding material. We do have a caller on. Caller, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello. You want to introduce?
Hi, it's Sheila.
Hi, Sheila. How you doing, sister?
No sign of Kiri yet?
Nope, no sign of her at all.
What time would it be in New Zealand?
It would be, I believe they're 18 hours ahead. So the way I do my little trick is I take 6 hours off and then it's the next day. And then it's the next day. So it should be noon for her tomorrow. So it should be noon Wednesday for her. And so right now it's it's 12:23 Wednesday.
Ah, so she's already in tomorrow.
Yep, they're 18 hours ahead.
Yeah. So when I first heard about Kiri Campbell last year, actually 2013 when she went into to do the $15 million deposit. I also went in here in Canada, Ontario, to CIBC to deposit some of my value, following like a similar process. So, hello, she's been in this for a while.
Yeah, the second person can just mute themselves for a moment. Okay, I got them. Go ahead, Sheila.
Yeah, so she's been attacking this for a while and from all kinds of directions too. And she's absolutely correct as far as creating credits on a debit card is absolutely no different than how the banks are creating money themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what people are confused about, is that this looks like free money when really it's just a representation of the value that you inherently have in this system as just being consumers. Like she said, that if there's a car sitting there in a parking lot, or if there's a loaf of bread, it really has no value until somebody comes along and wishes to purchase it. So the system doesn't really exist unless we're out there buying or working for these people. So it kind of seems like we need a system, though, to get away from this debt-based, interest-attached legal tender that we all know has been fraudulently created and manipulated and attached to that birth certificate and the legal name. So I honestly believe that we need some sort of an alternative exchange system outside of the existing one that is totally controlled and monopolized. And like I say, it's attached to that birth certificate fraud, and the way the countries have been set up as corporations. So,
But if we,
we really,
sorry, Sheila, if I'd like your thought on something. If we could, just for the sake of argument here, start talking about the exchange strictly in the monetary sense, and not bring in the birth certificate and the law and the Vatican and the Pope and all of our 2-3 years of research for some of us, 20 years for others, and the rest. But if we would just focus on this one little nugget of money and just explain to people that our current currency is fiat, it's a debt, and just simply show them what the definition of money is, the Federal Reserve, and just money. Don't get into the whole government, the crown, the Pope, and all the rest of it. Just simply explain and stay on the topic of money. Do you feel people would, the whole conversation would go a lot easier by introducing them the difference between what debt is and what the credit that the exchange is trying to use?
yeah, yeah.
So that's when we were like, I noticed the notes this afternoon in the Skype group that, how do we simplify this? How do we bring this down and maybe make some literature or so forth? And I think it would be so much easier for people to grasp and so much easier for us to explain it by just staying to currency itself. It's a debt.
Mm-hmm.
It's only a promissory note. You don't own anything because of it. And somebody else privately controls that. It's a private company that makes it all. People can understand that. Like people can really get, why do you think our debt goes up so much? Because it's a debt. It's not, you're not buying anything. You're not, it doesn't create anything. They create it out of nothing. And
well, once something grows exponentially, it just gets totally out of control. And
absolutely.
That's what this whole system, this Ponzi system, has been developed as. And then as they remove regulations of securitization, where they can now, multiply their earnings and their deposits in any which way, and there's no more reserves or safety nets, then it exponentially grew to the point where you've got this balloon and manipulation and a total fiction. Look at the cost of houses. I mean, I just really, I feel sorry for kids now trying to buy their first home at 25, and what, you got a median price in some towns of $500,000, or it's really gotten to that whole ridiculous point now where people aren't able to afford a hydro bill or groceries or to keep their car on the road. And those are basic necessities, requirements. And you can't fund, like, one of the reasons why I got really involved, really active is I got really pissed off at just what they're doing with the food. If you're not eating well, you can't think straight. And if you can't think straight, you can't respond. And that's one thing that I would like to see, a system in place where people are able just to go to their local restaurant and get a meal, which is what I liked about the whole signature signing kind of thing, is that you can go and just based on who your inherent value, you can go to a restaurant and get fed. And then not only is that restaurant owner going to be benefiting, but it it's cyclical. It keeps going, right? So
Well, we needed that. We
I
needed that value of exchange because
yeah,
anybody walking in with a signature, that's never going to happen,
yeah,
and that's just. I mean, we do need to make these bridges, and we do need
yeah,
to. It's just reality. I mean, we
yeah,
can.
yeah,
I mean, we can obviously have these wonderful conversations around the kitchen table and all the rest of it, especially for people that are so more knowledgeable and have been thinking about alternatives and solutions for a long time. Um,
yeah,
but I think the real conversations need to happen down at the base first so that we can get some movement into the positive. Like you say, start creating some jobs, start
yeah,
creating some hope in the people that can't simply survive right now because it's
yeah,
only going to get
yeah.
worse. And I think this
Oh,
is, I think this is just the opportune time to um, present this to so many people that are not aware of anything yet, which is still the vast majority of people.
yeah,
And the ones that are aware of things have no solution to get out. And the
yeah,
biggest solution to getting out at all starts with being able to house and feed yourself.
yeah, yeah,
If you don't
yeah,
have those basic solutions first, I don't care how much you want to know about the law or anything else. If you're trying to do it from the street, you're going to get
yeah.
nowhere. And that's being proved. I mean, I sit back and I watch, and this is being proved to me over and over and over again. So
Mhm.
to me, I really looked at the two fundamental principles that are being used for our control is one, the communication. How can we start communicating and being better with each other and being on the same page and are actually our communication skills one to one? And the
Mhm.
second one was money. Those are
Mhm.
the two, for me, are the two biggest, become the two biggest passions and the two biggest points that I see that creating the babble between us
Mhm.
and controlling us with the money have been the two most important factors that are enslaving us.
Yeah. Yeah. And many systems start in periods of depression. Like I forget how many currencies started in the
Yeah,
States during the Great Depression of communities that um, just created their own means of exchanging amongst themselves, realized that
very
they're
good point.
there on the ground, they're there by the crops, they're there with the food and the services. Why do they need all these middlemen, i.e., government, banks, insurance, planners, building, the whole licensing, registration? Why do we need all of this excess, which has now just totally been bloated in the last 30 years, whether you're looking at the medical system or the banking system or any of these? So we're here on the ground. We're growing the food. We're providing the services. Why do we need all of these extra people taking their pounds of flesh when you and I can exchange amongst between each other? And the idea I think behind credits is that that typical I've got a pig, you've got a tomato, but we need something in between that we both agree has value since it's cumbersome and awkward to actually deal with the tangible units. So there has to be some sort of a means in between that is outside of these corporations and government structures that have really put down the regulations. I like the fact that it would operate outside of the taxing system, especially the sales tax. So that's always been a burr up under my bonnet, is having to go to the cash register thinking I've got $14 worth of stuff and having to come up with $16, and where is this money going? It's going to a province that's a corporation, foreign owned, foreign controlled. So I have no say of where this money's going either. So there's a lot of benefits of having some sort of a system outside of of the legal tender. And like I said at the start, is that many communities started it, and tight-knit communities will keep them going. Ithaca Hours, there was one I was looking at that the Ithaca, New York started among their community to recognize the value that they had there. And I can see the system really taking off, and the ability of us all just talking to each other and dealing with each other, men and women, handshake agreements, and none of these, lawyers interfering, which is kind of what happened, really. It's like all of a sudden we got paranoid. Look, I want you to come over and doing a plumbing job for me. Well, I got to get a lawyer, and in case something's wrong, and I've all of this stuff. Well, what happened to the handshake where I need you to do a job and you come and do a job? That's honor. We've lost that.
Oh, absolutely.
And something like this will bring it back.
Well, I think it definitely is going to change the paradigm of thinking, and is going to start at least really encouraging acting differently between us. Again, I think these are bigger social issues that generally will keep improving as some of this monetary system gets breached, gets at least bridged, so that we can start crossing it. And then I think it'll exponentially, like you say, start taking off. But it is going to take people to get behind it. I'm glad you brought up the time banks and the other points. I mean, there is over, as I mentioned before, there's over 200 different systems across this country that are already operating and in place. But the key thing is, the difference between these two, as I see it, has been there's a starting value here that you start off in the system with. And the other one is for businesses and the other levels of the system to be able to interact between the different forms of currency. And these are the biggest hurdles that the alternative systems have not been able to breach. Just to remind people, I've got it up on the screen there now. Your code for calling in is 148-089-8666. So where have you, because I know, and I guess we're cheating here a little bit, I know we've been talking through the Skype group and so forth. Where have your thoughts taken you in this last 4 or 5 days with watching Kira with Brian and Lisa, and what you know of it so far?
My thoughts have been actually just staying with just the concept of it, and not bogging myself down with because this is something that can be created within the community that you're in, and can be adjusted and flexible. To me, she's just designing a blueprint or a draft software package that can be brought into your own area, and you determine it. So I've been actually thinking of how can this work. And it was funny because today we had a home care worker come in to take care of a gentleman here, where they're not doing that anymore in the hospitals. You go in for a day surgery for cancer now, right? And these people are coming out not knowing what to do, and it's up to the family members to take care of them, right? And while I was kind of taking care of this gentleman, I thought, what a neat way if we had the ability to help each other and exchange credits in that way, like if I was able to go and stay a week with somebody that needed some company, they shouldn't be home alone after surgery, and they could give me some credits that I could, go out into the community and spread around there. And how easy that would be. There wouldn't be the paperwork. There wouldn't be, I don't mean to criticize this woman that came, God bless them for them coming and to the home visits, but it just seemed like the paperwork was more important, and the fear of insurance, or something. It was just the possibilities of taking this into areas where, your local hairdresser now doesn't have to keep track of sales tax, or doesn't have to keep track of taking off income tax, because it could all be just a mutual exchange of the value that you can contribute. And so I see it as somebody in an area, or a group of people in an area, that really can take the software package, can take the concept of credits and really get into the community and make people realize how valuable their services really are. And that is not getting recognized now, right? That's how I've kind of been thinking of just how far this could actually go, and try not to get bogged down with the mechanics of the history. Yeah, well, people have tried this all before, and rah, rah, rah. It's like, where could this go if we kept it pure, if we kept it in truth, and really. There's a lot of people that are out there hurting. And I know when I went door to door in the fall to talk to people, everybody knows there's something wrong. Everybody wants, knows that something has to be fixed, but everybody's feeling very helpless, isolated, alone, and very afraid of the future, right? Whether it's financially or, what's going to happen. So. I think people are ready for it. And the other thing I have been thinking about too is the fact that we're seeing a pretty aggressive agenda coming down the pike through governments that is a real takeover of privacy, of private property, of freedoms, abilities to do things. And we know that the plan is for central control, whether it's control and of the governments, of the currency, of the whatever. So we know this is coming down the pike, and rather than have an idea that's planned and going to be downloaded, let's get in the grassroots, work together, and then spread it. And then I think the idea behind the credit exchange is that globally we can interconnect with each other too, so that because I know a bunch. Really, traveling is another one that bothers me. Is why does somebody say I can't go driving down to Florida and I can't cross that line? What's going on here? So there was mention at the start.
Yeah,
Sorry?
but the credit exchange isn't going to change the right to travel and get into all the other fields of things. However, that being said, I do want to not dismiss the fact that putting this kind of pressure on the system is going to bring an end to this system a lot quicker from my point of view anyway, or at least I think from the people that have been in this awareness movement and the freedom movement for a long time. This is a key tool, I think, not only to improve people's lives and everything else, but further every other agenda. If you can start starving the system of its capital and its resources, its money, its energy of the people, I think that's key in getting ahead anywhere else.
And the one thing that Kiri mentioned too is that if you've got a debit card loaded with credits and not concerned about the fact that you're on a budget at the grocery store, you will choose better foods. You will choose the organics, the ones that haven't been manipulated. And so just through your purchasing power, the grocery store is being told, oh, geez, I better get these GMOs off my shelf because they're not moving, right?
Good point.
And the power of the power of your purchasing is that what the fractally can unfold from this is just phenomenal, because instead of petitioning and protesting of, oh, label our GMOs, why don't we just stop buying them? Well, how do we stop buying them? We have to be able to afford the good stuff. How do we afford the good stuff? We have to be given some sort of an income supplement that some European countries are doing. What they're giving everybody $2,400 a month, and that's to cover your basics. Well, that is actually what's supposed to happen, in a way, right? That we're not supposed to have to be scrounging and coming up for just basic necessities. So I see the system correcting itself just through the use of this, through your purchasing power, i.e. you've got a guy in your town that sells used cars. So you go to him and you say, look, I can guarantee you all these members coming to purchase your used cars. You want to get on with. All of a sudden, how does that affect every other used car salesman in your area or the new car salesman in your area? It will naturally unfold in a ripple effect. And that's it. But like you say, it's getting that initial start, that initial oomph of the snowball, of pushing that snowball till enough people jump on. How did they do it with Facebook? You know, you needed, which is a similar kind of example, is for Facebook to work, you need everybody jumping on, right? And I think that's the same with some of the other ones that started up. I haven't checked them out, but there was one like Sue or stuff like that. Is if the people aren't there, there's no sense going. So what you were talking about at the start is why some systems fail, is that not enough people sort of get enough going and then it peters out, right?
Yep. Well, the one thing with this is that it'll gain momentum because it's actually benefiting you. As soon as, like, from my point of view, is I think the trick is to get somebody to be on it a month.
Yep.
And then they'll see the absolute change in their lives, and they'll go, what the heck were we ever doing? And they'll just spread it to everybody because they're going to want to exchange between their friends and their neighbors and everything else. Yeah. Just like if I carry around $40 in me on my pocket and somebody needs $20, I give it to them. If you're walking around with credits and you can touch your phone and give them 100 credits to go get what they need. Oh, wait a minute. They don't need them. Isn't that funny? You know? Yeah.
And I know. And the other thing I was looking at, like at this property, there's a ton of wood that we can remove from the property. You can't find anybody that will come because it's not worth their time or whatever. So if you had a credit system where you could get somebody in and then they could sell the wood as well. I mean, it's just the possibilities are endless. Absolutely. Whether it's a service or a good. The other thing I was thinking too is the alternative health people or the organic growers. Yeah, a perfect opportunity because they just get trashed with the legislation and trashed with the registration and the insurance. I mean, it just becomes not worthwhile to get into. Something like this that doesn't have the registration bodies or fees attached to it, i.e., let's say a massage therapist decides to offer massages for credits. So, right now, if you're tied to the massage therapy school in Ontario, you cannot charge less than a certain amount, and there's lots of rules and regulations, etc. If I had the ability, or somebody had the ability to sell a massage hour or any service without that tie, and then you also get into the free market, which naturally works itself out too, so that if somebody's offering a bad service in this setup, they don't get the business back. So it naturally bumps out any of the bullshit. Well, so if you're a bad businessman, people ain't coming back to you, maybe, because the member. I mean, that's just common sense. Whereas now with legal tender and the legal Sorry,
I just want to add in something there because there's a matter here too where you're saying about the competition. Don't forget how many people out there in bad service and so forth, or a bad company or a bad supermarket in your area, they don't have competition because other people don't have the resources to compete against them. So now when you have this type of system, a person who sits and sees a weakness in their community can step up to the plate and have the resources automatically to go, what? I'm going to offer organic a grocery store. I'm going to offer alternative health products, and I'm going to do this. They don't have to sit back because they're going, well, you know what? I don't got $50,000 to start a business and then do this and do that, and then I can't quit my job and pay my rent while my business tries to get off the ground for 2 years. So I think it is absolutely going to really put the pressure on anybody who is not acting honorable or who's not providing a proper service. I think they're going to just go by the wayside so quick they won't know what hit them.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So lots of potential, lots of potential. I think one of the problems, like you say, is that there's some real trust issues in people, and a system like this requires honesty and trust and caring and concern about the other people in your area and well other people in general, right?
Yeah.
And we've all been living in a very capitalistic, profit oriented, survival of the fittest, bigger and better, faster, and that kind of a mentality
Well, I
and
see
a
that it
scarcity
does.
mentality.
I see it does answer that, and that's one of the things I
Yep.
do like about it is that
Yeah.
let's face it, if everybody starts for the argument's sake, so everybody starts with 25 grand of credits a year. Well, if you
Yep. Yep.
choose to um, have a basic cost of living of 1,500 credits a month, rent,
Yep.
food, whatever,
Yep.
leaving you this, and you decide to do nothing, well, then that's great. You got the necessities of your life to sustain, right?
Yep.
But now the
Yep.
person who wants to turn around and open 3 businesses, run a new project, he wants to work 80 hours a week because he loves what he's doing now. And he happens to get his 25,000 credits and make another 100,000 credits. Well, he's still getting the benefits of the energy that he's putting out.
Mhm.
So I see that it actually does inspire people. It rewards
Mhm.
people. It does the same type of things that everybody says that money does so well,
Mhm. Mhm.
compared to like a contributional system, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I really see that it has covered so many of the plus and minuses, but I'm going to kind of give a little shift here, Sheila, because
Yeah.
for
Well,
those,
is there another caller? I don't.
I think they're enjoying us. So I know Will wanted to call in and Carol as well, so they're free to do so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
866
Carol wants to call in.
806 6264 148 089 8666 is the code. Just call in. We'll put you in the queue here, and then I have room for us to have 2, 3 more people on the round table. So, I'm more than welcome to open it up. So if you want to call in,
Right
Carol
on, because
or Will,
there's a big group in Ontario that are very interested. A
Yep.
big group out east. I think it's New Brunswick. A big group
Yep.
in BC, and there's to all interconnect.
Yep.
I don't know if your listeners know about sort of the whole Bank of Canada lawsuit, but I'm looking at that going, oh, that's going to take way too long.
Oh, sure. Sure it is,
but we're smarter than that. We can get something going way faster than that, if we cooperate, right?
Well, I'm actually going to within side of the Skype group now, and I'm fully aware. I've spent all week too, Sheila, and me and you know a lot of the same people and so forth. So I'm definitely forming up a board to move forward with things, and to have an infrastructure ready to implement when Kira or the exchange is ready. But then even like you said, I mean, this is also a spark under the butt. There's nothing stopping us from absolutely just building the same thing.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So,
it's been done before.
Yep. I don't see why, with the minds that we have available and the energy that we have available to everybody, if we came together, why we couldn't do it. Of course, I'm not an advocate of reproducing something that took so much energy to create and everything else, and then not also support them. So let me sorry, Sheila, I just got somebody else calling in, so I'm just moving them to the forward. And then they can enter their code and we'll get you into the room. But I'm really an advocate of when one organization does all the infrastructure, everything else, if you can support them instead of having to redo the whole thing again and go through all that energy
Yeah.
and cost,
Yeah.
I'm all for
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
at the same time, if somebody wants to drop the ball and it's a good idea, then I'm fully prepared to pick it up and do what it
Yeah.
takes to run with it. So
Yeah.
again, there's those lines and the balances between things. So that's kind of where I was. But I just want to give people a heads up. Sheila, you've been involved in a lot of groups, everything else. You're quite knowledgeable in a lot of different fields. So, and then me and you have also had a lot of different conversations over the last while. So I'm going to kind of put you on the hot seat here a little bit and swing it around the other way because everything isn't just blowing smoke up people's butt and saying everything's roses. And I think we need a little bit of patience with this to come to fruition as well. What have you seen that might be any pitfalls with, and I don't even like the word pitfalls. I think that's one part of the language I like to get away from. Let's say challenges just at this moment. Challenges with the credit exchange that you might have felt for yourself or that you would have a concern for, specific questions you might want to still have answered for yourself.
The hard part, or not the hard part, the difficult is getting businesses members on board, right? It's an easy sell for the members, an easy sell, and because it's totally legit. It gives them some breathing room. It gets them away from the bank. It's hard. How do you get the businesses on board, right? And especially in well, a lot of the businesses, like you were saying before, grocery stores are big chains now, right? Our grocery store is owned by Sobeys or Loblaws or whatever, and so there's monopolies on everything. So it'll be very difficult to go into a big business and try to sell this. But I think it's quite possible for the smaller businesses, right?
Yeah, the smaller towns and stuff are going to absolutely have a huge advantage in doing a transition as far as percentile of their, say, gross domestic product for their community. They're going to be able to switch over a lot quicker. On the note, as far as grocery stores go, one of the things I did think of was not targeting the grocery chains because they're too corporate. I would be targeting all of the farmers markets, all of the other things in order to bring them up to being a better resource base and a better viability of an alternative than the chain markets. Right? So that's where I see again that I think this program on the positive side really gives competition a chance to grow and to actually have competition where the current monetary system actually depletes competition.
Yeah. And you have to have, I think, a business owner that is well informed of the situation, right? I owned a restaurant, and if somebody approached me and said, okay, I see you've got a debit machine, would you consider having a credit exchange machine on your counter so members could come in? The first thing I would think is, oh shit, I don't want to get in trouble with the government. I don't want to get in trouble with with lawyers, or I don't have time for that. You know what? I know this debit machine works. I know it's costing me an arm and a leg, but my accountant agrees with it, and I know I won't get into, you know what I mean? So it almost has to be a business owner that knows exactly, what's happened with the banking situation, what's happening with the government situation, with the corporatization of things, and the total legality, the lawfulness, everything of this system. This system is not doing anything different of what the central banks are doing. And it is actually doing what our Bank of Canada or what your national public bank is supposed to be doing.
Yep.
So we're almost taking that responsibility, which we're obligated to do. You know, the Criminal Code of Canada, de facto possession of your sovereign powers, whether you're talking about a nation or yourself, is you have a duty to stand up and say no.
Well,
So
with
that would be the hardest thing in a business, is they would be very afraid, oh, I don't want to get in trouble here, because they're being told by the media and by the government, oh, this is a scam, this is internet, because you know it's a house of cards for them, and they can't afford for people to find out that it's all just been a big lie, and it's a little man pulling levers behind a curtain. It's not that big monster on the screen,
well,
right?
this is where within the notes I took this week, I think is one of the biggest challenges was the businesses, and with
Yeah,
inside of that stumbling block, to convince a business or to encourage a business to make the change. One of the answers that I feel is really important to do is the support system of the exchange. So one of my
yeah,
suggestions to Kira was, well, right now I see two fundamental, really real challenges. Is one, you need a team to be able to deal with your franchises or your sub branches. I like the
yeah.
term sub branches better than franchise.
Me too.
So
Me
I
too.
use branches for
Yeah.
myself anyway.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so I think you actually need a team of coordinators that so Canada would have a branch liaison. So we
Yeah.
actually have somebody who is a rep from Canada that can turn around and answer questions, deal with problems, give the solutions, and get things done.
Yeah.
Instead of there being such time delays and such miscommunication and hour changes and all of the inherent challenges that come just with the way things are right now. The
Right.
second one is to have that same support team, like you said, of um, legal support, system support, and so forth, so that you're able to say to a business that goes, yes, I like it. But I mean, the first thing that's going to happen with me is CRA is going to say, no, you can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's going, hey, listen, I'm trying to run my business. I don't have 10 years and 100 hours or 1,000 hours this year to spend fighting CRA.
Yeah.
So we need a team.
Especially. Yeah.
We need a team
Sorry.
that's going to be able to step up to the plate and be able
Yeah.
to handle these ongoing challenges from the system, these ongoing
Yeah.
attacks that I know are going to happen. There's just no two ways about it. That this system is going to attack back in
Yep.
some form or another. And we need an infrastructure of knowledgeable people that are willing, because now they don't have to worry about their basic needs. They don't have to do anything else. So they can actually dedicate their time in fighting these battles,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are two things that I really noticed off the top.
Mhm. 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 Because if a business signs on, and you know, like I was sort of analyzing, if I had a restaurant and somebody came to buy a hamburger, and one person paid in legal tender cash, or used the debit machine, and then one person used the credits, right? The person that bought the hamburger using the debit and the banking machine would have to pay the sales tax that's attached to that hamburger, whereas the person buying it in credits is a private transaction. There wouldn't be sales tax there, right? So the business signs on,
Mm-hmm.
immediately somebody has to be available for that business restaurant owner when CRA calls and says, where's my PST and GST? And the restaurant owner says, well, those were tax exempt purchases. And those were
Yep.
private transactions. How to be able to help the restaurant owner through
Yep.
that?
That's why I think
Um,
you actually need a team, because one of the best barter systems that was up about 15, 20 years ago I forget the name of it, but I knew I was looking at it. I participated in it a bit. But what ended up happening was it just grew 5,000% in a month. And what the government did is
Why?
it just came in and said, no, it's all income. We're declaring it all as an income.
Mm-hmm.
And turned around and audited everybody. So the thing basically collapsed because there was nothing else out there yet. You know, we're in a different time now. Like I said, there's 250 of them out there now. So, but I know that business owner can end up having the same challenge as going, well, it's a tax exempt. It's not declarable. Well, yes, it is.
Yeah.
So now he's in the
no,
battle, and he needs that support.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to defend yourself even when you know it inside and out, whether you're in court, whether you're in counsel, whether you're talking to a lawyer. It doesn't even that when you're gone to the bank and you say, well, show me there's proof of any money before even when you know what you're talking about, it's very difficult when these people come down on you, It's their bread and butter. So that would be one of the concerns as a business owner, like as a restaurant owner. I would be so busy anyway doing whatever that you come in my door and try to talk to me about this. I would be concerned. Okay, well, are you guys going to help me if CRA comes and challenges this? If it's totally legit, right? So, and the same with your employees. If your employees were members of a credit exchange and said, I'll work for credits, not for cash. And I would have loved my employees to do this. I ended up paying them in cash because I employed them privately, and it was just way too much of a problem to hire them through that whole SIN number, right? So if I paid my employees with credits, then we don't have that whole income tax problem, and nor do the girls working. So it could be so beneficial, and there's just so much excess that's been attached to a basic one-on-one transaction now. So many people are eating off of what's happening on the ground, and that would be one thing for a business is I would approach people that have a business that know what's going on and start there and
absolutely. And there will be a lot of people like that anyway. I know. I have the two businesses that I'll incorporate it right off.
Exactly.
So there is going to be a number of us that will be able to switch over. Okay, we got somebody else in. Caller?
That would be me.
And that is who?
That is Will.
Hey, Will, how you doing, brother?
How you doing, Mark?
Not bad. You know Sheila?
I do. We've had some chats, not audibly, but how you doing, Sheila?
I'm well. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Howdy.
I'm not a big fan of the new system there, Mark. Awful lot of button pushing for me.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I tried to get in there a couple of times there, and the first time the mute wasn't working, and I saw you struggling with it, so I'll hang up and I'll try and call back.
Yep, it's not a problem. It's at least these calls never drop. It's not a Skype, and they never drop at all. And people just have to get a little used to having to enter the code. Once I'm able to forward it, then they just have to enter the code. But we never lose 200 shows with this now. We've never dropped a call.
Did you check for Kiri again, Mark? Or
I've just gotten absolutely nothing from her at all. I've got 3 methods of getting a hold of her, and I haven't heard anything from her since 10:30 our time today. So I'm sure that we'll find out what happened, and then I'll post it up. And hopefully she'll just be able to rebook either for That's such a good thing when you actually have control over things. You get to just turn around and go, okay, you know what, we're going to go on air and push the buttons. And this is one reason I kind of took on this challenge of actually producing the shows, because now with Chance doing his day job and me off through the winter, I can turn around at noon tomorrow and go, we're going on air. So it's just a great bonus.
That's very handy as well. Yeah.
So what's your input, Will?
I'm on the fence still. I do see the benefits, of course. Anybody that couldn't be a fool,
Yep.
Especially with everything that we've been doing the last few years to try and counteract the current system. That being said, I'm going to be erring extremely on the side of caution. You know our history going back there with the likes of Dean Clifford and other people. There's no need to name at this present time. There's been a lot of gurus and a lot of scams out there. So what I've been personally doing is just researching this and contacting who I can, and that's what I think. That's one of the main things that disturbed me. The first shows that I watched there on the One Network, everybody was like floored. Oh, like, this is awesome. This is a game changer. Everybody, quick, jump on. And and I realized that we're all tired. We want to get back to just living life everybody else is taking for granted. But if there's one thing we've all learned, is that we have to be cautious with all the misinformation and disinformation that we've all swam through to get to the knowledge and the understandings that we have. And in the chat room, everybody's like, "Oh, I'm going to start my account now," and I said to my wife, I've been out of movements for the most part, except for my activism and networking on Facebook and stuff, since I gave up my radio show here on the network. And I just come back into the Skype rooms and everybody's like, jump straight on this like the big candy cane. I think we have to be careful. I think everybody has to do their, like when everybody's researching the legal name, when everybody first started getting into that, you really needed everybody to research this.
Well, I think too that, as I mentioned at the start of the show, Will, is like you said, we all have some good experience under our belts now with mistakes that we've all made or been involved in, and I think we do have to use our maturity level to be do our due diligence, be cautious, and use our maturity about it. Don't dismiss anything. Don't overreact either on the negative or on the positive.
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly. I would love this personally. Like I have my own investors that are doing other things like buying gold and what have you go into. We'd love something like this. Something that they give you. I mean, how awesome is it, right? Mm-hmm. We all bring this into. I can bring this into Miramichi, New Brunswick here. You guys can bring it into every other place where you are, right across the entire country. It's a game changer if it turns out to be legit and it can work without getting completely and utterly destroyed. And I mean, that goes back to what you were both saying about having teams in place. And this is what I was talking about in the room the other night there, was legal teams, people that are knowledgeable, ready to stand up when the fight back comes. Because the fight back will come. Oh, we've already seen it with sovereigns and stuff, but they come in and taking our kids and stuff, which is the main reason I never registered my daughter, right?
Yep.
So it's all a process, and like you're both saying as well, it's all coming together. Me for my part now, my little sovereign there is almost, she's 2 next month. up speaking a little bit of Latin and Spanish and English and everything.
Cool.
So I've had my break now, and I'm going to be starting coming back into it and making my videos and stuff like that. More networking and seeing. I personally don't see why, even if this doesn't go ahead or it turns out to be too good to be true, why all of us can't get together and do this very same thing. Most communities already have something like it in place, right? Like here in Miramichi, you can go downtown and you have downtown dollars. All the stores accept them.
Yep.
You have to buy them with fiat currency, but it shows, at least in this community, it shows that people are hungry for something else.
Well, I think I mentioned that as well. That the bottom line of things are that there is nothing new under the sun. This has all been there. Now, Kira and the Credit Exchange have done their work. They've done their research. They've uncovered their truths. They have done their labor. They put in their sweat equity. They have done everything. And let's give the benefit of the doubt at the present time until there's evidence otherwise that this moves forward. So that's great. And I believe absolutely in supporting the people that have already done it than to spend all that energy doing it again. But on the same point, if the ball gets dropped or if something doesn't come fruition or they just go, we're going to leave it to New Zealand, we can't handle anymore, there is nothing preventing us with the minds and the talent and the experience that exists across this country that we can't pick up the ball and keep running with it and make our own system.
Yep, exactly right. So I was trying to take a pause there to give Sheila a chance to say something there.
I think she's dropped off now.
Oh, okay. So this is something I had a problem with on my show when I was on the network. Yep. Giving other people a chance to talk. So I'm working at that in my private life as well. Yeah, I mean, like I said, that I am not, and everybody, public notice, I am not against this. I'm for it, depending, just being cautious.
Yep.
I just don't want to see anybody's energy put onto something else again that could be negative. And definitely in a situation that most of us are in with trying to fund projects and the like, want to see anybody lose any money.
Yep.
So I don't know. What do you think the likelihood is yourself of this making it out of New Zealand? To Australia's sake, Britain.
Right now, I think it's too early to tell. I don't want to lean one way or another. I want to make comments off of facts. I'm optimistic from what I've seen and have gotten so far. I have concerns and questions that do need to be addressed and answered, and let it move forward. But I'll be just as willing to walk away as I am to go forward with it at this point, because I take hold of, look, you know what, this was a real eye-awakening and a real statement that creating something like this is absolutely possible. So I would, even if I turned around and said, okay, the Credit Exchange isn't coming out of New Zealand or it can't fulfill what it wishes to do, then I would, number one, look at, okay, how can we support each other and mirroring another one here? Or how do we do it ourselves? You know, I definitely think the barn door is open with this.
Yeah, I think with what they claiming to have done and what it looks like they've been doing, they really did their homework. They got right into the acts and the statutes, which is something everybody is well aware of. I hate with spiritual passion, makes me physically ill. But that's where it is. That's whether we like it or not. That's where they've hidden all the little gems. We have to delve into that sort of stuff, and it can't just be. Everybody has to be doing it.
Yep.
Because I can read every act and statute that's ever been created, say in Canada, and you're not going to know what I'm talking about. Everybody has to make a little bit of effort towards that reading material. Personally, what I'd like to see is somebody actually go through and make a whole series of videos on the legislation. And then we can have teams on the financial legislation, the gun ownership legislation, the land stewardship type legislation, because it's way too much for any one person to try and get it all down. And this is where they have us outmatched.
Well, this is
about scale.
Yeah, but this is about the exchange. It's not about any other of the nuggets, right? So we can't bring in the 15 topics into one, because that's why we always end up just being in the circle. There's not going to be one solution that's going to cover all of it, unless there happens to be 15 million people that stand up at the same time and go, "You guys are out."
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that. I'm still working on that part.
Yeah, me too. That's more than I'd love to see it.
I'll wait till you see my video coming up where I ripped the birth certificate in half.
Yeah. Okay, brother, I'm gonna let you go, and we're just gonna finish up here. And I hope to stay in touch, and we're connected on the group there as well.
Yep. I'll talk to you again.
Okay, brother. Take care.
And you.
So we're just hitting bound to the bottom of the hour here, and we got our next show coming up. So I haven't gotten a note from Kira yet at all. So I'll keep on trying to find out what happened with that connection. It is quite a challenge with such a drastic time change, and I can just imagine how absolutely swamped and maybe unexpectedly the response that she did receive from this. Who knows if she knew about us little Canadian crew sitting here, that all of a sudden she got 50, 60, 100 people going, okay, let's go, let's do this. Along with all the work that I can imagine just went with this. I know with trying to do projects myself and trying to keep up just with normal life, and do the media center and do other things, it can be really taxing, and before you know it, it's an 80 to 100-hour week before you even blink an eye. So I have to, and I think we all should exercise a lot of patience right now, and give the Credit Exchange and that team out there some breathing room and some latitude to do what they have to do to get caught up, to take care of their own house before they reach out too far and commit to other things. I would rather wait the month or the 2 months and do the infrastructure work behind us, and keep in contact and keep building, and keep moving forward, but not put undue pressure on something that just doesn't come naturally and will flow. I think when it's supposed to happen and when it's going to manifest, it'll come over to us. Uh, Give her a chance and give the credit exchange team um, an opportunity. It's only been a week. And I know we're excited, and it's hard to control us that we just want to grab hold of it and go. Um, but I can totally appreciate and I can imagine the absolute pressure that they're feeling and that they're under, and that they're trying to live up to all of their responsibilities and their obligations to their communities, the people involved, run their families, um, keep up with everything else. So I think we need to have a little bit of understanding and some empathy and some patience here. Let's send out lots of love to everything and send out the positive energy to it. Yes, we are aware and we can have our maturity kick in and use our experiences to make this work. But uh, let's not just start kicking the can down the road before we at least give the opportunity for them to uh, see what happens. Let them have some work at it. So we'll be back with waking up to the truth very shortly, and until then, we'll keep you up to date through the Skype groups and through Media Broadcast Center on Facebook, and of course Canada Nation page and my own personal page. We'll keep everybody up to date. If I can arrange another time for Kira to come on and go, well then we'll just do a special report of it. We won't wait till next Tuesday or so forth to take another show. So we'll just do either a tape or we'll just announce it and go live with whatever timing her availability is. And we'll go from there. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm sorry that she wasn't able to make it. But as always, as I say, let's try to be a little better tomorrow than we were today. Have a great night and tune back in for Waking Up to the Truth.